Amazon Fire Smart TV, Smart Stick or Cube, Apple TV, Chromecast or Chromecast for Google TV, Nvidia Shield, Roku, and some more. These are all smart TV boxes, set-top boxes that you can use in your smart home. But what if you want to hook them up in Home Assistant? And even better question, what if you want to control them from within Home Assistant? Well, today we're going to look at one neat HACS component or front-end component called Firemote. We'll start in a couple of seconds. So far I have recorded a couple of videos in regard to Android TV and similar boxes. One video was the Android debug bridge. I think my first video on that was still at the time when this was configured via the YAML file. Also, around 6 or 12 months ago, when it was released, I recorded video on the Android TV. That is the option to control your boxes directly from Home Assistant. But today we are going to make one additional step, and that is the installation of the HACS frontend component called Firemote. Firemote does require you to already have ADB or Android Debug Bridge installed, and also for some of the devices to have Android TV Remote installed and configured in Home Assistant. Let's go to HACS, Frontend, Explore and Download, and type Fire for Fire Remote cards. This card allows you to import from your physical world to your Home Assistant or smart home. There are a lot of predefined remotes, but even if your remote is still not 100% supported, you can still get it working inside Home Assistant. I will be working with this one here. That is not the only box I have, but this is currently my primary box. So I will be working with the Google for Chromecast or Chromecast for Google TV. Let's click on Download. Download. The latest version at the time of recording is version 3.4.0. And let's reload. If by any chance you have issues with card not showing up in the list, on the Windows machine press Ctrl, F5, and it should clear the cache and reload the browser or window in the browser. Let's go to Overview. Let's click on Add Card. Type Fire for Firemote cards. The neat thing about this card is that you can configure it via the UI. But not just the basic stuff. It allows you to drag, drop and select the remote you have. For example, device family can be Amazon Fire. And here we have a list of devices. These are all the supported devices. Then we can change to Apple TV and select one of the devices or remotes for the Apple TV. Same goes for Nvidia Shield, on, Roku, Xiaomi, even custom ones that are not currently supported, but you can try and submit the remote that you have so that it be added to the official list. But as I said, I will be going for the Chromecast remote, 4K version, as this is the remote that I have. I've mentioned that you have to have a couple of prerequisites. One is Android Debug Bridge entity, and the other one is associated Android TV remote entity. Or, in the integrations page, this one is Android Debug Bridge. And we also have Android TV remote, this one here. As I mentioned, I did a couple of videos already on those, so I will not be going into details, although adding them is very easy. You will need to enable developer mode on your box, stick or whatever you are using, but that once again is not that hard. So after you have set up everything as a prerequisite, let's go back to the card. My Android Debug Bridge entity is this one, and this is the remote entity. You can define the scale of the device, make it larger or smaller, depending on the UI where you want to add or card. For example, you can have one dashboard that displays on mobile phone, the second dashboard that displays on your web browser, on computer, and then the third one, for example, on some tablet or something on your wall. Heck, you could even try and display them on tags. And by the way, if you missed my video on tags, don't forget to check it up here. Next thing, you have option to select app launch buttons. There are a couple of buttons, for example, YouTube one, Netflix one, but also others that you can reconfigure. App launch button 1 and select the item from the list. I'm using Jellyfin, and the next one will be Disney Plus. This is how the remote will look now. But you can, for example, add also YouTube and HBO. As I said, there are 6 buttons that you can configure for this or other remotes. If you have many remotes or many devices that are same or similar, you may choose or opt out to name this device. For example, let's call this one living room, although I do only have one remote and that one is actually in the living room. And you can then select if you want to see this text on top, bottom of the remote, or make it hidden. Click Save. This is out-of-box basic functionality. You can, for example, press the Jellyfin button, Disney Plus for Disney Plus. Now let's check the documentation. First things first, of course, if you have reached the GitHub repository, and I always recommend to go there to read the documentation, you should also do one other thing. Click on star to say thanks to Doug for creating such an awesome frontend component. There is a wiki page that you can read that will give you more detailed information. Here we can see all the types of the remotes that are included in this version of frontend. Then we have introduction, what Firemote is, prerequisites, which we already sorted out, how to download and install it, how to use it or how to customize or do first install of the card, and something that we will look in a couple of seconds, those are screenshots from users. These are not just screenshots. There are some great examples of the code. For example, floating or detached card. We have a couple of examples. For example, this one is using Amazon Fire TV 4 series with 4 buttons, Prime Video, HDMI 1 and YouTube. Then we have Apple TV with a couple of buttons, but it also has a button override. Mute button is receiver mute script. If you're interested in customizing things that you cannot customize via the UI, you can look at the options. Some of the things are available in the UI, but some are not. For example, custom launchers, button overrides, etc. So this is the reason why I always recommend to go to documentation, because I simply do not have enough time to cover everything in short videos. I did show you how to use app launch buttons. These are the buttons that you attach to specific app or service that the box you are using has installed. For example, Disney Plus, HBO, Prime TV, etc., etc. But you also have launcher button customizations. What these things are. These are custom service calls. For example, in this case, we are creating 2 services or 2 buttons. One is called Flash the Light. Label is this one. Path to the image is this one. It is red color, white background, and then we have script that is called Flash the Lab Light. Then we have another custom button, Red Lamp. Label is red, MDI lamp. We are using material design icon here. Color is red. Background is blue, and we are using typical service call from Home Assistant, light toggle, where we are toggling this specific light. Here are the YAML keys and values that you can use, and this is how it would look in Home Assistant, in UI. You would then be able to use those 2 custom commands or custom apps. One would be flash the light, and the other one would be a red lamp. If you click the button on the remote, not the physical remote, the remote here, it would turn the light on or off or flash the light. But besides those, we also have button overrides. They can be useful if you need further customization. For example, mute button, we are calling this script. Volume down button, we are calling that script. Volume up, we are actually toggling the light, etc., etc. So the remotes can look like remotes, but actually could do other stuff. Also neat thing if you want to hide things in your UI in a plain sight. Let's quickly go through dashboards. This is one of the examples. Then we have another one. There are also some questions, for example, how to change to landscape mode. It shows you that you can change the remote style. Then another user posted their UI, where the remote is actually detached. We have here example of the pop-up remote, where it pops up in a separate window. And here you can find the code for it. So I do suggest that you go to screenshots and examples and other people's dashboards, because you may even get more inspiration than by just going through the normal documentation. Sure, even previously there were some types of the remotes that were available through the HACS Frontend component, but this one, in my opinion, is the best if you want to have the same look and feel in the virtual world what you already have in your physical world. I hope that you did enjoy this video, and if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you do end up installing this component, don't forget to go to GitHub repository and give it a star. This really means a lot to authors, because that way they know that people are installing and enjoying their components. And before I end up the video, as always, I want to thank all those wonderful people that are supporting me and that have become YouTube channel members. Thank you all for all of your support. But let's not forget each and every one of you who has shared, liked, commented, or just watched my videos. Thank you. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the join button down below and becoming a YouTube channel member for only €2 or $2 per month. Or you can go to my merchandise store and get something there. Last but not least, you can always send me super thanks, and I will be super thankful for that. I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.